Well guys, this time around I've got a better setup than what I had previously. And just to recap, here's a quick reference to what I did before. Well guys, that's my little pool modification to Intex Pool system. My little valve I made, or my little, not valve, but my little three-way I made, along with filter on one side, which I have turned off right now because I'm using the pool vac, and then the pool vac. So what I got going on now is a better mousetrap, so to speak. Someone has finally caught on to making some connectors that give you the true 1.5 inch to 40 millimeter adapter to go onto the Intex hoses. So you can now put your Intex hose on here, and then take a true 1.5 inch connector and put it onto your T-fitting. I'll go ahead and assemble this, but the other thing I have that I'm going to do this time, and I was a little bit concerned about it, well I really actually honestly didn't know about it. What is the name of that? Hayward skimmer baskets that you can put on the outside of the pool. Now, that means you do have to cut the membrane, and you have to cut it in a non-reinforced area. But I've seen a lot of people do it. I've seen them not have any issues with it. I think the way you got to go about doing these things is you fill the pool up at least a couple of feet. I think I've got about maybe 3 feet of water in mine right now, but it's below your portals. And a lot of people will split this gasket and then put one on the outside, one on the inside. Go ahead and assemble everything, poke your holes into the wall, put your inside fitting on, go ahead and tighten it up, and then when you're done, they'll go ahead and cut the hole out in the inside of the pool. This way it's already it's solid, it's reinforced by this assembly. The instructions don't necessarily tell you to do that. I think they really want you to cut the hole, put the gasket in, because it's made to go on the inside and outside, but I really don't want to take a chance on that when I'm sure it'll work fine the other way. I don't want to end up with a distorted hole due to the pressure and the weight pulling on the pool that I have to then contend with and end up ruining a brand new pool, because we do have a brand new pool. So along with that, I'm going to take one of these adapters and Teflon tape it up, screw that into here. I got a couple of new Intex valves. Oops. I do like having the ability to cut the water on and off to whatever it is I'm working with, so I will put that on there like so. Then I'll be able to take this guy with a little bit of hose work. Hose on here, run it over to my Y, like so. I will then run another hose down to the pump, and then the other one I'll run off and go over to the other portal, because I like to have 2 portals in the pool. One will be the skimmer portal, the other one will be kind of a lower level intake. And also for safety, that's a good thing, because if all your suction is being pulled by one portal and somebody was to get stuck up against it, now this screen's supposed to prevent that from happening, but just in the event that something crazy did happen, you don't get trapped against it, because it would, especially a small person, it would pull them up against it and wouldn't let them go. But so long as you have intake from both directions, basically all the pressure just flows the other way. So it's a good safety measure, so it's always a good idea to have 2 portals. And I should have really, really, really high volume flow. There'll be very little to no restriction at all on the intake side of the pump, and should have a really high turnover rate on this 18-foot pool I have. And as I found with the 15-foot pool I had with this pump and this setup, is it was very easy to keep up, very easy to maintain. It's just a dream. So would I call this the ultimate Intex pool setup? Yes, I think I would. It's my opinion anyway. Everybody has their own opinions. I've seen people hard pipe it. I've seen people just use the Intex hoses. I like using the hoses because I don't really feel like hard piping it. And I think the hoses are fine. So we're going to get to putting all this together. I'll take you along for the ride, and we'll see how it goes.
We can bring a leash. They don't have that, and she knows to go to a door. She uses the pump.
Wish I had had that option back when I was trying to figure this out the last time. That's awesome sauce. And like I said earlier, I'm going to split this gasket. So we'll carefully go ahead and just cut this dude in half. Seems to be the safer way to go about doing this deal with these pools. Be careful not to cut past, like I just did, just a wee bit. You know, if you cut your gasket in half, that would kind of ruin it, and it wouldn't be any good anymore, so I won't do that. And I went ahead and marked it on both gaskets so that I know that at least the cut pattern will match up, where I've got some variations when I put it together. So generally speaking, it should be about as good as I can make it. So what I'm planning on doing here is I think I'm going to go, there is a seam where the top flaps over and is bonded. I'm going to go about an inch below that seam, and this is where I'm going to put the skimmer. And I do apologize for the wind noise if I have any. My microphone that I usually have on my camera is broken, so hopefully the wind's not too bad. So we've got our gasket on here, and I'm about to do the unthinkable and poke a hole in my own pool. One more piece of advice I've noticed is that there's a lot more holes in the gasket than there are holes in the plate on the other side. So you don't have to cut out all the holes. So don't use the gasket holes as a reference as to where you're going to put your holes. Use your plate. Okay, now for the other gasket. Now the mark on the other side actually ended up being right here. So this is how I'm going to set this one up. The reason that mark is there is because you have to, and just to make sure you don't do this, you got to have these 3 screws that's got to go across the top, or else it'll be this way, and that would be a big bad boo-boo. So 3 screws across the top, 3 across the bottom, 2 on the sides. That's how it goes. So we'll put our flapper in. I dropped in the dirt. Okay, so I got all my screws started. Everything looks good so far. They were kind of a booger to get started as you were going. It kind of got everything a little bit out of whack, so you just kind of have to wrestle with it until you get it. But I'll tighten them all down now. Alright, time to do the terrible thing, and that's cut a hole in my pool. Ta-da! Well, hell, flapper. Alright, so as far as this part goes, I've done this before. I'm going to do it again. We're going to take what this portal is it's reinforced, so I'm not too concerned about it anyway, and trace out this gasket. Cut it out. Go. And I should be able to put this guy through up against the and you always put this rubber seal on the inside of the pool. And last but not least, I gotta hook up the output side. Fortunately for me, in this pool, it already comes with a cutout for the larger portal, which is kind of nice. And this is the one that came with my pump because it's at a larger volume than some of the other ones. And it worked good, so we're gonna keep rolling with it. Same deal, gasket on the inside. And this little portal right here that I'm not going to use right now, I'm going to plug it up. It comes with this pool came with these, but you can fits in there kind of snug, but you can push it back out. So what I'm going to do, put a little bit of Gorilla Glue on it, shove it in there. Hopefully it'll stay put in case some curious little kid comes along and says, hey, let's pull this plug out and watch the water shoot out the side. That'll be really fun. You know, they won't be able to pull it out. Got to get water in it first, bud.
There is water in it.
That's not enough. Okay.
I wouldn't care.
Yeah, I know you wouldn't.
I'd just be glad to get in.
I know. Well, soon enough, bud, soon enough. So, what I like about this Hayward skimmer is a couple of things. Now that it's all up and running. Give you a little example of how well these little skimmers work. You can see, I mean, anything that floats by circulating around this pool is going to get pulled in just from that flow rate from that big pump. I mean, not too much gets by it. See, it's catching all of it, which is pretty awesome. Keeps the bugs and the grass off the pool and from sinking to the bottom, you know, when I cut grass, which is good, because a lot of times, you know, if the skimmer doesn't get it, you end up having to vacuum it up. That's plus number one. Plus number two is this guy. Just drop this in here like so. And I can throw my back in here. Of course, it's going to try to catch air now. that I don't have the vac on it. Come on. So I can get the vac in here quick enough. Might suck a little air along the way, but it'll clear itself out. Plus, I'm doing this with the camera in my hand, so good luck there, right? There it goes. And you'll notice that Mr. Shark's not really moving very well down there. So what you do is reach over here, cut that guy off, and I did catch some air, but it'll clear out in a minute. And now my shark is off to run. You really do need a good high flow rate pump to make these sharks work like they're supposed to. So now he's kind of doing his thing across the floor. And although you can't hear it or feel it, I can hear and feel the chatter from the little thing that flaps back and forth that makes that shark do what it does. So that is the other nice thing about this shark vac with this Hayward skimmer. And that's the reason I have the two valves. And with the factory Intex setup, with the two little ports that you got, you can't do this because they don't make valves for those little 1 1/4 inch hoses, only the 1 1/2s. So this gives you the ability to do that with a little vacuum like this. So that is one of the reasons why I do this setup. The other reason is you just get more water flow. You can see, let's see if we can give you an example of that. There's your water flow there. I'm going to turn this valve on so I get suction from both sides, and the water flow actually increases. Decreases. Increases. It's kind of hard to tell since it's having to force its way up through that much water, but you get the idea. There's a lot of water pushing through that pump. I can promise you guys, the last pool I had set up this way, it really worked awesome. So anyway, that's your breakdown, guys. Appreciate you watching the video. Give me a thumbs up and a like if you don't mind. That really does help. And I guess we'll see you on the next one.